30 and the final day here in my carnivore month, and was working from home yesterday, so I actually skipped coffee and broth and went right for breakfast with the girls. It was 6 eggs and 6 slices of bacon for me. A little bit later, I went ahead and got a sauna session in. Again, critical form of detox. If you live in the modern world and you're breathing the air and drinking the water and you're surrounded by a bunch of shit that you wouldn't even know is toxic, the sauna just helps yank a lot of those accumulated toxins that build up in the body over time, helps get in there and yank them out. And the chlorophyll in the water further adds to that detoxification effects. Really good for the blood and just cleaning the body from the inside out. So knocked out a quality sauna session, and a little bit later was feeling hungry, or I had a little bit of a craving, not starving, but I just dealt with it with a little bit of honey, 2 spoonfuls of honey. And then after I picked up my daughter from school, In and Out is one of our weekly traditions or bi-weekly traditions. I had my 3 Flying Dutchman with that single slice of cheese in the middle. That is something that I actually started before my carnival month and have just been doing it since. I'm slowly trying to persuade my daughter to do the same thing, at least my big one. My little daughter, my 1-year-old, eats them just like that with me. To be honest with you, not to sidetrack here, but that is probably one of the worst when you're eating out, it's probably one of the worst things that you can eat is the bread in most places, or just the general carbs, whether it's bread, pastas, in most places, because the wheat, in many cases, the businesses don't go above and beyond to make sure it's good quality wheat. They don't go above and beyond to make sure that the wheat berries are ground freshly, or freshly ground, stone ground. So you're having wheat that, number one, is dead from a nutritional standpoint. Number two, more than likely has toxins sprayed on it, the glyphosate and all that shit. And it also is processed in a way where it's used yeast and not the fermentation process, not the sourdough process. So the body doesn't know necessarily how to process that bread. So in my case specifically, if I were to go out and have a piece of bread right now from a restaurant on the street, I immediately get heartburn. Even going to the grocery store and getting one of their grocery store breads, even like Dave's Killer Bread, all that shit. I will, after one piece, I'll immediately feel a little bit of like heartburn sensation here. And it's just because my body, can't quite process that without barking at me, letting me know, hey, garbage wheat, yeast, it's not done the right way. So, yeah, that's probably one of the first things that you should slowly start removing from your nutrition program or from your diet is just bread out and about when you're eating. If you're going to have bread, I highly suggest you make sourdough bread. It's very simple to do. Make a starter. It takes time, and you have to pay attention to it, but it's not anything out of the other world. If I can do it with 2 kids and very little family support, or almost no family support, I'm sure that you can find time to do it. So get some starter, or find a way to make starter. There's plenty of people out there that do it. Maybe I'll put a video on how to make the starter. My mom actually gave me my starter. She flew across the country with it and gave it to me, and I just have been keeping it alive. So keeping it alive is pretty easy, and then just making the bread is a big deal, because it's a good way. Bread can be nutritious if you do it the right way, and it's also delicious. So yeah, back on track here. After In and Out, later on, all I had for dinner was just 6 chicken meatballs, ground chicken meatballs that my wife bakes in the oven. You can tell how much support I have from a nutrition standpoint from my wife and my mom in that case, in the bread's case. Anyways, yeah, man, this carnivore experiment has been a good one for me. And even though I didn't enter this experiment with chronic pain or disease or in an extremely out of balance state, I did notice quite a few meaningful positive changes that have kind of reshaped or further accelerated the way that I approach my nutrition in a positive way. Just within the first few days, I noticed that my skin was starting to get clearer and that my pores were starting to get smaller. So that's really good. I definitely noticed in taking away all of the sweet, crunchy shit. I'm a sucker for those crunchy organic cereals and little cookies. I'm really good at not bringing them into the house. I could definitely just never eat them because I won't go to the store and get them. But my wife does like the snacks, so they end up in the house, and I'm a sucker for them. The crunchy, sweet stuff is not great for the teeth, especially at high levels, especially all the time. I don't think our teeth were meant to chew on crunchy, sweet shit. I think the teeth were meant to chew on mostly meat. That's an epiphany that I've had just looking at our teeth and looking at the way they're designed. That's probably one of the biggest things that you can remove from your diet, even if you don't do the carnivore, is just really start to mitigate the crunchy, sweet shit, because that's no good. And then the other big thing that I noticed, positive change that I noticed, is just mental clarity and energy, and then also patience. As you can imagine, with a couple of kids under the age of 5, clients, keeping my cup full, being there for my wife. I have to manage my energy very closely so that I don't burn out, or that I'm not in this chronic state of fatigue, or whatever the case is. And that's, even though I wasn't out of balance prior to this, I definitely noticed an uptick, an increase in just mental clarity, good, clean energy. I mentioned quite a few times in the series that my training sessions were awesome, especially having to train by myself when I typically just do the bare minimum and keep it moving. But I've been able to actually take it to the next level on my own this month. I've lifted pretty heavy, and I've lifted very consistently. I've improved the volume of the overall session. So going from 3 sets of an exercise to 4 or 5 sets of an exercise, going from 2 or 3 exercises to 5 or 6 exercises in some cases. So frequency, intensity, and volume of training has gone up. Mental clarity, and yeah, I think those are the big ones for me that have made a positive impact. And now moving forward, I'm going to see just how much adding certain things affects those aspects. So mental clarity, all that good stuff, energy. And I'm going to continue to document it. I believe I'm going to try to do updates every day or every other day. We'll see how that goes, but I'm definitely going to be checking in at least a couple of times a week and just giving you guys a synopsis of what it is that I'm eating consistently. What it is that I'm eating if I have to eat out, because that's a practical reality for many, many people, myself included. My wife doesn't always cook. I don't cook very much at all. Most I'll make is breakfast. So if there's nothing ready, I do need to go get something out. And so just sharing my tips on, what to look for when you go out. And then the balance of that, because again, like I've said many times, no matter what you eat when you go out, there's going to be a level of processing in restaurant food that the body just doesn't know how to process. It just is what it is, but you can mitigate it by eating the best that you can when you eat out, and by just mitigating how often you eat out. So, and then I'm also going to include more information on my training. So the idea of this next series is just going to be building sustainable health habits for long term. So getting away from the, transformation training or nutrition programs, and just saying, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to slowly start to make positive changes at a sustainable pace that is going to compound over time into just the best you, period. The best you that has existed. So yeah, that's about it in a nutshell. I'm extremely happy that I finally did this. And yeah, I plan on keeping quite a few of the components in place. This was a relaxed carnivore, so I'm going to definitely keep, the different protein sources in place, obviously. And then my smoothie is also going to be a staple. My broth. The broth, just to touch on this real quick, the broth is such a critical element for regardless of your nutrition program. The broth is such a great and efficient way to get vital vitamins and minerals that in many cases us humans are deficient in, especially if you're eating a standard American Western diet, or even if you're eating, I don't know exactly how people eat overseas, but if you're watching this from another country, you cannot go wrong with a daily cup of vegetable and bone broth. Tons of vitamins and minerals delivered in a very efficient fashion, which is huge for the body, easy to assimilate, nutrient-dense food, or drink in that case. If you choose to put the animal bones in there, you're going to get collagen protein, which is great for the hair, skin, and nails, and then all the vitamins and minerals of the vegetables. And another great aspect of this is, even if you don't have an opportunity to go to, for example, a farmer's market where you're going to get real organic carrots with all of the nutrients that nature intended in those carrots. If you have to get industrially produced produce, which is a reality for a lot of people, in many cases you buy a bunch of carrots and it will take the entire bunch of carrots, eating the entire bunch of carrots, to get the nutrient value of just a couple of those carrots, because of the way the food is produced. It's just a reality of industrial processing or food production. You can, with the broth is a really good way to just shove a high volume of produce and vegetables pack all of that high volume of vegetables into a small, 8-ounce cup and drink it. And it's very efficient. Otherwise, you would have to eat a whole bunch of carrots to get the nutrients of one or two. And it's just impractical to eat that many carrots or that many onions or that much celery or that much anything. So again, just efficiency, putting stuff in the body that is nutrient dense and easy for the body to process has been a staple for me, that broth. I believe it's one of the reasons I never get sick, knock on wood. And I believe it's one of the reasons that I'm not deficient in anything. So give it a shot with the broth. It takes a little bit of getting used to in terms of just making sure you have time to prepare it every single week. But once you get in the rhythm of it, it takes 5 minutes to put the ingredients in the pot and get it rolling. So yeah, that's about it. I'm going to continue to keep in touch with you guys on a regular basis. If this is your first time here joining me throughout this carnivore experience, welcome. I look forward to connecting with you guys. If you have any questions or tips that you'd like to share, leave them in the comment section below and I will get back to you guys right away.